Monaco Pizza presents SCP. The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle and Adam Wilde.
Steve,
Adam,
I hope you're ready because it's only 2 weeks until you hit the ice on Matt Sundin's right wing for the Leo Vegas hockey tournament. And who will be on the left? Well, maybe it's you. Maybe because you haven't gone to leovegas.net and slapped your name down and elbowed your phone number in and
in the teeth,
wrist-shotted your address so they could call you and you can win.
Yeah, we could drag Matt's down together.
Hey, listen, if Ponikarovsky and Andropov couldn't do it, neither can
Wait.
you. I'm just
Wait.
kidding. I'm kidding. I think Nick had
The skyline.
Huh?
The skyline.
The skyline, yeah.
Or
So-
as Bill Waters used to curmudgeonly call them, the flat line. Never remember all that? It was only me who listened to sports radio? Oh, yeah, you were talking to girls.
No, it was.
Stupid Adam.
I was trying to talk to girls. They just weren't talking back. No, the
I
thing
was trying to
is,
talk to Jeff Merrick.
leovegas.net. Leovegas.net is where you need to go.
/promotions.
/promotions makes it a little bit easier. We just want you to sign up for the hockey tournament of a lifetime. We're talking about 2 nights at the Delta Chelsea in downtown Toronto, airfare, food, hanging out with the guys, having beers. And that's the part that we really didn't talk about with Matt's, but the Matt Sundin interview, he was so great last episode. But the part that you really want is to be able to talk to these guys one-on-one and ask them all the questions that you've always wondered about, because guess what? Once they're not pros anymore, once they're the guys that used to play, they don't have any skin in the game, and they'll tell you honestly. And that's the best part.
Also, on the ice, they're still really good.
Oh, yeah.
Them, old, out of practice, and not trying is still better than anyone you've ever played beer league with.
Oh, yes.
Anyone.
Absolutely. The hands never go.
Oh, no. Even that guy who played AAA, you know you got that guy. He was captain of his junior B team. I know tons of those guys, and they're all amazing hockey players.
No, they're not.
These guys will play once a year into their 50s and still be better.
Easily.
60s,
70s.
Yes.
So, okay, Leafs last night.
Well, do you want to start with the bad news, Adam?
Bad news that it's the first shootout loss of the season?
Well, there's that. Or would you guys like presents?
Oh, there's presents? Let's start
Oh
with
my God, fucking presents.
presents.
Yeah. Well, first though, this is a really hot studio. Do you mind if I take my sweater off?
Uh-oh.
Here, I gotta take my sweater off.
Oh, bunch of jerks
For
t-shirt.
anybody listening,
Yes.
Steve
Yeah.
Dangle is wearing a Carolina
way did you-
Hurricanes bunch of jerks t-shirt.
And I couldn't just have one for me. I had to hook up the squad.
Wow.
There's your 2XL there, Jesse.
Yes!
We'll see if that fits.
Stephen Gregory Dangle. I cannot believe.
It's not my last name.
Wow.
Could be. Or my middle name.
I'm going to go put this on off camera.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to see my hairy shoulders.
Adam, big,
put it over
sexy,
your
wild.
Put it
Ah,
on.
you're right in the middle of the camera.
Oh, am I?
I'm just kidding.
Wow, that's cool. What did
Censor it. Censor him with
He's not on camera.
a photo of him naked. No. Sorry. Yeah.
Actually, Jesse does have photos of me naked.
Also,
I made him
if
do that
anybody
once.
wants to see Adam Wilde naked, you can just use Google Images.
Yeah, I'm actually.
they're on
I
the
am.
internet.
I have been naked. Hey.
Adam gone wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, so when did you order these?
Oh, I didn't order them. I got
you remember?
DM'd by the Hurricanes, and they're
No
like,
way.
We did that on the show.
I
Yeah.
forgot because I've been sick, guys. Are you serious? Tell me the story again.
well, it was so they offered me a shirt, and I'm like, that's so great for sure. And then unlikely scenario, I came to my senses myself. More likely scenario, I told Mrs. Dangle about the situation, and she said, what about your friends? And I went, oh yeah. And so I DM'd the Carolina Hurricanes, who generously were like, would you like a shirt? And I was like, actually, I'd like 3 shirts. Different sizes.
What did they say?
Okay. No, they seemed
We'll
like
have to run this by Dundon.
They're like, yeah, I don't know if we can afford this. Listen, it's you get 2 shirts.
They're not the Senators.
Their salary cap takes
Yeah.
a hit next year. They're like, oh, we can't spend in the cap. Send out
Listen,
2 extra t-shirts.
Didn't Tom Dundon just put $250 million into the AFL or whatever that new
Did he
football
do
league
that?
is? Yeah.
Did you see what Eminem tweeted
No.
about the new football league?
Like the candy brand or the rapper person?
The rapper Marshall Mathers tweeted about this new football league. It has to do with hockey. If you give me a second, I will bring it up.
Does it have to do with goat sex? Because he rapped something about that recently too. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes, I'll look that up.
So the football league is called the AAF. No, let me read this. It's called the AAF, the Alliance of American Football League.
That sounds so American.
Marshall Mathers, the guy who wrote Lose Yourself, writes, Dear the AAF, please entertain this thought regarding the AAF Iron AAF Express game. So those are two teams. The Iron played the Express.
Okay.
And he says, please entertain this thought. Allowing the players to actually fight would be key to the league's success, like hockey. I would watch every game, even though there is no Detroit team yet. Hint, don't blow it. Sincerely, Marshall.
You imagine if football had fighting?
Eminem thinks the AAF should have fighting like hockey.
That's
it would be
great.
a key to the league's success, like hockey, he says.
And it only took 15 years or so, but Eminem is the new Ja Rule. What does Eminem think about this? Oh, boy.
Do you want to hear the Eminem lyric? From Boogie's Rainy Days about sheep.
Okay.
I think you do.
Sure.
All right.
I left my legacy hurt. Effing absurd. Like a shepherd having sex with his sheep. F what you heard. You know, sometimes similes don't work. You know?
It makes sense, though.
I mean,
Accurate. He said a thing that's not incorrect.
it is kind of funny. Like,
Heard and heard.
yeah.
You know?
So anyway, now that you know that exists,
It's like a group of sheep.
No, it's like a shepherd having sex with his group of sheep.
Right.
wow.
That's what you heard.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I just want to let's shout out the Carolina Hurricanes for these 3 amazing shirts. Thank you so much, Carolina Hurricanes. We really appreciate that. And all I want to say is, Pittsburgh Penguins, step up your game. We know you listen.
I'm still waiting on your Bunch of Birds shirt. Where's your Bunch of Birds
I
shirt?
forgot their Twitter account does listen.
Yeah. Remember blink twice
Yeah,
if
they
you
blinked
listen?
at us. That was cute.
Do it. Adam, I'm a good friend. Your tag's out.
Oh, I left it out.
Oh.
Yeah, they're still in.
I didn't want to rip it off. I don't have any scissors.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
I just promptly ripped mine off.
I
this
know,
morning.
but I just was like, well, this is free shirts.
It can't be
season.
contained.
Free shirt season, SNN.
Isn't this so much better than talking about the Leafs?
It's so much better than buying clothes. That's for sure.
That
so
also,
I
free
see,
stuff.
I see why you wear so much free stuff because
Buddy.
it does feel good. I remember Jesse and I went to the Marlies game on the March break Monday, and I swear that's where I got sick. That's where I picked up that cold from hell. And
You were sick long before that.
oh well,
You're
maybe.
the one who gave it to Toronto.
No.
All of
Adam,
Toronto.
you're in a perpetual sickness. There's no getting sick for you if you are sick.
Down with the sickness, as my friends from Corn once said. Anyway, what I'm saying here is
Today's episode brought to you by 1998.
what I am saying is that the people that go crazy for, and I'm going to throw to Jesse on this one, but the people that go crazy for free shirts always kind of blow me away. But today, I sort of understand it because I don't stand up for free shirts. I don't. I'm like, I'm enjoying my beer, and I'm not dancing, and I don't care to get on the Jumbotron. I'm just here to enjoy the game and scream. I'll scream and jump and cheer when it's time to scream and jump and cheer. But free T-shirts do not do it for me. Jesse,
Yes.
you mentioned a book that I think everybody should try to read because I've got it on my reading list after you brought it up for just this conversation at the Marlies game. This is a really interesting one. This is at the Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah.
Is it Steve Simmons approved?
Well, no, but we got to do better than this, said Steve Simmons to nobody in particular.
Here, Jesse looks like he's looking something up.
Give
So,
me 1 second.
I will just say
I want to
that
get all the information.
an aspect of the Tampa game a couple weeks ago that I forgot. So that game was my birthday present. The Leafs were ritually slaughtered in front of my eyes on my birthday.
I don't know if there's a more perfect person to be at a game like that than you on your birthday.
And T-shirts. I'm never anywhere near where the T-shirt is thrown.
Oh, really?
We lock eyes, me and the person throwing the shirt. It's soaring through the air. It is less than a foot from in front of my hand, and the guy sitting next to me just out of midair nabbed it. Nabbed it, and then I had to sit next to it. It was like first period.
And it was your birthday.
And it was my birthday!
You know what I love about the Leafs too is they've got a rotating cannon now. It's not a t-shirt gun, it's a t-shirt cannon,
Yeah,
and it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Predator kind of gun. It's insane.
It is the Get to the Choppa t-shirt cannon. I really like it, except for the fact that it never gives me t-shirts. Raptors games, I'm always hoping to catch the parachuting shirt.
Come on, give me a t-shirt.
Give me a t-shirt. And I never
Jesse,
get
what,
one.
have you finished looking this
Do you
up?
have the name of the book?
Isn't it the Sports Gene?
The Sports Gene. Is that what it's called?
Sports
I
Genius.
don't want to mess it up.
Jesse Blake.
Sorry.
It's okay, man.
I don't know the
Well, it was just a little thing that you made. A little
anyways,
conversation.
This is a great book. I'll bring it up next episode when I go home and I look at the title of the book. There's this thing in your brain that reacts when you see a free thing. There's a difference between a free thing and a thing that costs 10 cents. So when somebody at a sporting event sees a free t-shirt, there's this, I guess it's this feeling that you don't know, that you don't, and what's the word for like a feeling that...
There's like a euphoria that comes over you, like,
yeah.
oh my God, I better seize that.
Exactly. So sports teams have learned that this is a thing in psychology, and that's why they have free t-shirts.
It's like when dogs see free treats on the floor.
Yes.
Like, I gotta get this or I'll die. I will die.
Or chicken breasts on the counter
That are
unguarded
and uncooked.
and uncooked.
Charlie.
You friggin' bastard.
Still my favorite story ever. How your dog is not a walking salmonella right now. I don't know. I don't know how it happened, but he did it. Good for him.
He's been in the clink.
So
he
the-
only did 4 days, but
So the Leafs have a good start last night, and they have a poor finish, and are unable to ever stop the Flyers from scoring. It's just this weird thing that they have. Now the
play a
Flyers,
full 60 minutes.
to be fair, the Flyers can never stop the Leafs from scoring either.
Oh, they're perfect for each other. Are they not?
Teams with no defense.
Oh my God, none whatsoever. I wasn't too concerned because again, we're looking at the process. The first goal was Martin Marincin not being an NHL defenseman.
Oh, you said it.
Oh, he's not. I wanted him to be. He's not. The second goal, I'm trying to remember what that was. Oh, it was a screen, and it was from Gudis.
By the way,
because he laid that hit.
Did you see the Ozhiganov Marincin pairing out there?
Seldomly though, because did you know Babcock was actually doing his job, and he was double shifting.
Ron Hainsey to
No.
split them up. No, I'm kidding.
He double shifted. One was Zaitsev with Marincin, but another was Riley with either Ozhiganov or Marincin. I can't remember. There were a lot of times where he had them with the babysitter because they need one because Ozhiganov has gone backwards. Yeah, the second one was just a screen. Third one was just an awful effort. And I'm trying to remember what happened on the fourth one. But, I mean, it wasn't that terrible of a game. It's encouraging that whenever the Leafs need a goal,
They can get one.
it seems like they can get one. And Matthews, heading into the Capitals series, was hurt. And he played that whole series hurt. Heading into the Boston series, he was hurt. And he played that whole series hurt. Right now, he's playing the best hockey of his career. Or at least the best hockey of this season.
So don't get hurt.
It is yes. Oh my God, there's still games left. But he looks better heading into these playoffs than he ever has. So that to me is encouraging. Nylander got a goal, that's nice. Brown got a goal, that was nice. Ennis looks good, that was nice. Kadri got a goal, that was nice. Freddie wasn't terrible and he didn't look injured. That was nice.
Tyler Ennis had a great play to Connor Brown, who had 2 points in the first period.
The Brian Boyle pass.
Yes, which was great. Now,
I just feel like we're in this purgatory until one of at least Dermott and Gardner get back.
true. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that it is mind-blowing to me every time Hainsey and Zaitsev are on the ice. It's impossible not to get an icing. So there was one moment where the Leafs are in the offensive zone. Zaitsev actually makes a really great play, steps around a guy, sets up a scoring chance.
I thought he had a very good game.
He did, and then
Yeah.
it comes back the other way. And here's the best part.
by his standard.
Now, Zaitsev is caught a little bit here. Hainsey gets back for him. But Zaitsev intercepts the puck and passes it to Hainsey, who has one man on him and nobody else. And Hainsey promptly dumps it down the ice for an icing, except he got really lucky, and it happened to hit Carter Hart.
That happened twice. at least in that game.
Why can they, like, what is it that prompts you to throw a puck away like that on a team that stresses puck control? I don't understand.
And
I don't understand what they're telling him, how he's being coached.
is that Hainsey? Or
That was
Zaitsev?
Hainsey.
Yeah, but Zaitsev, like you said, gave it to him, and he's got a man on him, right?
Well, no, he had a man. When I say a man on him, I mean an NHL man. Like, the man wasn't on him. The man was 3 strides off.
Oh.
Make a play, Ron.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know if you were watching that game in the first period, it must have happened, I'm going to say minute 17. Mm-hmm. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Go back and watch the footage. It's unbelievable. You get frustrated because you know all they need to do is have someone in that spot who can make that pass, and the team looks completely different.
And you know what I forgot to mention in the LFR, and that's the problem with doing night of videos sometimes? Hainsey in overtime. That's 100% on Babcock. It's nothing on Ron Hainsey. So I see Hainsey out there, and I'm like, what is he doing? This is probably going to go poorly. The Leafs have possession. They're in the zone. And there's a certain amount of, cycling. You got to be moving. He was just standing there at the point because he knows his abilities. He knows if he goes down low even a little bit and he gets caught, curtains. That's the game. Or at very least, it's a breakaway, probably a 2-on-0.
Yep.
And his shift might have been, honestly, it might have been 20 to 30 seconds. And then he went off. What was the point of that? I'd rather you throw out 3 forwards. It's not the same. I understand the 2 forwards, 1 defender. If you're not confident in the defender's abilities, throw out 3 forwards because it's not the same as 5-on-5 hockey. It's not. It's not. There were lots
You know
of
how they
things
talk
to
about
criticize.
starting 7 defensemen? Why wouldn't the Leafs start 5 defensemen and have an extra forward?
Why not?
Why not?
Trevor Moore played defense 1 game with the Marlies this season.
What the hell? Why not?
They're so bad. I've never seen.
Limit the back.
Is it? So what is that? Ozhiganov at the beginning of the season, I remember being like, I don't notice him that much. We did get walked by Shabbat in the second game. But I was like, I don't notice him that much. That's cool. That's cool. And once he gets acclimated to the game, the North American game, he'll get even better. The opposite has happened. So I wonder if he was riding adrenaline, and now that, games are ramping up.
And he's sat a few games now, too?
And he sat a few games, and deservedly. And, the quality of game is ramping up. He's lost. He's lost. He's an injury option at this point and, deep down the line.
Dermott was at practice this morning. So that's
Gardner also took the ice for the first time in practice with the Leafs today. He's wearing a red jersey, but that's a step forward because Dermott was wearing a red jersey at the beginning of the week, and he now, I guess, is no longer.
Yeah, cleared for contact, according to Mark Masters.
Outstanding.
That's Dermott.
Yes.
Dermott is cleared
Dermott,
for
yeah.
contact. Gardner is not.
I can't wait for Dermott to go back to the third pairing.
No! Well, and so I was
You know that's
confused.
going to happen.
I was confused last week. They said the plan is to... Yeah, can you turn the air conditioner off?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You didn't need to mention it. It's okay. Just keep going, man.
Sorry.
Just keep
I
going.
thought you were getting up for something else. My bad. Anyway.
What other thing could it have been?
I don't know. Adam always goes pee. I thought it was a little early this time, but anyway. I was a little confused because I remember hearing the plan was to call up Rosen after the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he's not going to be called up for Ottawa then.
Yeah, he
On
needs to play
Saturday.
at least one game with the Marlies is what they said.
He did, though. I watched him.
Well, that's what the initial report, the only thing that I've read was that he needs to play a game for the Marlies. And now maybe
I guess
he
it was
played the
another
game for the
game.
Marlies and he wasn't good enough.
Well, they did blow a 4-1 lead in the third to lose in overtime.
Where have I heard that before?
Oh, nowhere.
No, I wonder with that situation,
I don't know
is
if he
it
was
is
on
it
the ice for
expecting
any
too
of
much for a guy who sat for over a month to go play one game in the American Hockey League and then try to come up and play for the Leafs? Are we not? That's exactly what they should not do.
Yeah.
So give him a couple weeks. I don't care. Well, listen, they got a point against the Flyers. They are literally a win and a half away from clinching. It doesn't matter. Just make sure he's ready for the playoffs.
By the way, it's unbelievable. The Leafs have, what are they up to now? 95 points?
Yeah.
They haven't clinched yet. So some people were tweeting me nightmare scenarios. Let's say the Leafs lose out or something like that. Are
we going to do this?
No. Well, this is still possible. Wait for it.
Yeah, but-
This is still possible. The
Welcome to Anxiety Corner.
I know.
With Steve Dangle.
If the Habs win out, and they would they would have to win 5 in a row, which is hard, but it's not. It's 5. It's not unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Hurricanes. The Blue Jackets would have to lose 1 game in overtime, and it would have to be to Montreal. And the Leafs...
And that's tonight, isn't it? That game's tonight.
I think so. And the Leafs would... they could still win a game, maybe even 2, and then the Habs make it with 100 points or something like that, and the Blue Jackets make it with 101. It's going up. It's getting harder. Because when the Leafs made the playoffs...
Oh, no, there's so much parity, man. So much parity
Steve,
in the league. That's why we need the salary cap. That's why the salary cap has to be hard.
Lead on Columbus.
Could happen.
Are you...
Dude,
sure.
if Columbus passes the Leafs, then the freaking Oilers make the playoffs because they're only 6 points out.
Man, Leafs lose to Ottawa on Saturday. A chill's not going to crawl up your spine?
No. Not with a 9 point.
Okay, so here's the thing. Okay.
Islanders, Canes, Lightning, Habs.
Let me drop a little theory on you.
No one's nervous.
My name's Adam. From time to time, I get a little anxious, and I go to therapy for this to help deal with my anxiety. Something if you also struggle with the same thing, I highly recommend you do. And here's what my therapist says, and this is my maxim. I love this. He said, it's possible, but is it probable? So I will come to him with nightmare scenario number 1, 2, and 3. And over the course of the hour, we will take 20 minutes on each. And we will work through each nightmare scenario that I'm having in my head that's giving me pits in my stomach and fits in real life and making me agitated and irritable and generally difficult to deal with. And he'll go, right, that's possible. But is it probable? And he said, what are the chances that this thing happens? And the chances about the situation that you have just dropped are so phenomenally small, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to have anxiety about it because I'm not going to waste my energy.
First ever team to cough up a 4-1 lead in in Game 7.
The
third period of Game 7. First ever.
The best thing in knowing that maxim, because this is really the first year of hockey where I've really known that when I went back to therapy and I got what I needed to get. And I have watched the sports talk, radio, and television thing happen. And what I've realized is literally all they do and all we do is play on our own anxieties and the anxieties of others. All we do as Leaf fans is worry. We worry about Nylander not signing. We worry about how we're going to sign Matthews. The day that Matthews signed, we're worried that it's not long enough and that Mitch Marner hasn't been signed yet and that his dad thinks he should be captain and that his agent is talking out of his rear end. I don't really know what you like. And we're listening to Brian Burke going, well, there's no way that they can re-sign them. And they've continually re-signed these people. I don't know what it is we need to do to just relax a little bit, but I can tell you that Boston Bruins fans don't think like this. And I don't think Tampa Bay Lightning fans, if the Leafs were in the same spot as the Tampa Bay Lightning, you know what we'd be talking about? Sure hope they don't blow it in the first round. God, what if Vasilevsky gets injured? That's what we'd be talking about that. You know why? Because we're Leaf fans. Whereas Tampa fans are like, wow, this is great. We're really enjoying this.
I think you're wrong there. I think they're anxious.
You think Tampa Bay Lightning fans are anxious?
Yes, they're going through the same thing that the Capitals did last year. You know why that series went 6? This is my
which series?
Brain.
When you
Leafs
say
versus Caps. Sorry.
Okay, that was 2 years ago. So you got to specify.
You know why that went 6, and why 5 of those 6 games went to overtime? The Leafs scored the first goal because the Capitals were a delicate flower. They were. The Leafs went up 2-0 in that game. Friggin' pissing me off. But they were a delicate flower. Every person in that building. Home ice advantage was the worst thing the Capitals could have had. Because they got to hear the silence in the building after that first goal went in. It was less than 5 minutes into the series. They got to hear that silence. Whoa. They felt it. When Kapanen... Come on! Who the hell is this guy? You've never even heard of him!
He won't even make the team next year, and he didn't.
The series is tied! And I remember when Bozak scored, and unfortunately that was the last game that they won in that series. I remember being like, they're halfway there. The Caps lost to the Penguins a week and a half before they played them. Series still went 7. That's how good they were.
Can I just ask you one simple question?
What?
Currently, 2 teams have clinched a playoff spot in the East.
Just 2.
Just 2. The Leafs currently sit 5th in the entire National Hockey League. 9
feel like
points
it.
up on a playoff spot
Doesn't feel like it.
with 5 games to go. Are you concerned that the Leafs will not make the playoffs?
It's there.
That's absurd.
Jesse.
That's crazy.
It's absurd.
Adam-
That is
No, it's not.
legitimately
No, it's not.
insane.
No, Steve.
That's
Steve,
no,
this
that's
is-
not,
this is
that's
not-
a,
this
that's
is not
a
rational.
reasonable concern
It's not rational. It's not
at
reasonable.
all.
Why?
Are you worried that the Washington Capitals will miss the playoffs?
No. They're different.
Where do they
They're
sit?
fourth and
different.
10 points up on a playoff spot.
They're different.
You worried the Islanders have missed playoffs?
Nope, they're different.
Oh my god! The Leafs aren't special.
Go ahead and talk about a bunch of other teams who aren't the Leafs. Go ahead.
They
Keep going.
no, but they aren't special. They don't.
You
that's
sure?
Not, that's not
You're-
something
you're-
that.
You'd bet on that. Like you would bet something of value on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Making the playoffs?
Jesse, Adam might have touched on something. You know, when I go to therapy, I never talk about the Leafs. And I think I'm doing myself a disservice. I'm not getting the best bang for my buck. Because here's the thing.
I don't talk about the Leafs in therapy.
We've gone,
I just said I take what I learn in therapy and I apply it to this.
Yes! Yes! And that has damaged me further because they go, what is the evidence? And when I look at so many other things in my life, I go, wait, I am being irrational. And then I go home and something comes up with the Leafs, and I'm too embarrassed to talk about it with my therapist. It's a hockey team, and I'm a grown man. What? Okay, the Leafs won't make the playoffs, Steve. That's ridiculous. What is the evidence? And then this little gremlin in my brain, pulls out a book and goes,
That's called your monkey
Here
mind.
it
My
is.
computer.
That is called your monkey
Oh, sorry.
mind. The whole
It's a
point,
heavy book,
You know what you
Jesse.
should try? You need to try meditating.
No.
Because
Be
that whole
alone
point
with
is-
my thoughts. Are you nuts?
The point is to silence those thoughts, to silence them and to focus on your breathing and to get away from that because that inner voice, that's causing you the issues. That's causing you to be stressed. And you know what it's doing? You're a busy guy right now. You got the playoffs coming. You're doing ice surfing. You're promoting a book. You're traveling. You're going to be in Ottawa tomorrow. You've got a lot going on.
My chest is tightening right now.
And you know what you need to do? Stop wasting your energy on this stuff because you need it for other things.
Ugh.
And if you're
Adam-
like Steve right now, if you are like Steve, hear my voice. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? No.
No.
So don't worry about it.
The improbability of it makes it more anxious and anxiety-inducing.
Because other improbable things have happened in the past, therefore it has to happen now.
Yes!
Irrational.
Yeah.
I know!
That doesn't make sense.
I know! Where do you think I got the book title from? Where do you think I got it? Isn't it obvious that the "but I love them" part was an afterthought? This team is ruining my life. It's not good for me.
As he wears a Carolina Hurricanes t-shirt. I love it.
Bunch of jerks.
It's just they're gonna make the playoffs. That's
And then what?
and then we'll see. That's a different discussion.
Someone behind a soundproof door over there just looked over when I screamed. Guys, it's not good for me. It's not good for me at all. I was about to say something. I forget. It all doesn't matter.
We're going to switch subjects.
No, we're not.
Can I
we
shout
are,
out the
we
book
are.
I forgot?
Huh?
Can I shout out the book name
Yeah,
I
quickly
forgot?
before we switch subjects.
So
Sure.
the book is called "This Is Your Brain on Sports." It's fascinating.
Oh.
It's each chapter they look at a different aspect of sports, like why we love underdogs or the T-shirt canon, and they explain the science behind why we love those things. So if you have time, read that book. It's great.
I like it.
We're going to bring on Dan Carcillo.
Hey.
Dan Carcillo is going to help us through the Paul Byron situation. We have questions. I don't understand this code. And Dan is going to answer some of these questions and give us his opinion. All right, so welcoming on Dan Carcillo for the reason that I don't know that it'd be possible for us to properly examine the Paul Byron, Mackenzie Weegar situation without somebody who's been through it himself.
Yeah, and we've been meaning to have Dan on for a while, actually.
Seriously. And this was just the perfect way to introduce you. So, Dan, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you here.
Hey,
Thanks, boys.
and-
Appreciate the applause. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's about time, man. Long overdue to have you on. So here's the thing. For anybody that hasn't heard this situation or this story over the last couple of days already, and it really dominated yesterday, but in case you missed it, Paul Byron hits Mackenzie Weegar earlier on in the year, gets a 3-game suspension for it because it was a dirty hit, tweets out that he takes full responsibility and he apologized and he didn't mean to do it. Now the Habs, who cannot score goals, are in the playoff race of their lives, and Paul Byron, who has 15 of the Habs goals, who is 5'9", decides that, hey, I guess I got to fight Mackenzie Weegar to make up for this, to answer the toll, I guess, for what happened earlier on in the season. Now, Paul Byron went down. Mackenzie Weegar, bigger guy, stronger guy.
It was a 3-punch fight.
And Paul Byron now has a concussion, is going to miss this huge game that they have tonight at the very least, and this one's against Columbus. And Dan, I wanted to start with what your initial thoughts on the conversation was, because obviously people were tweeting this at you all day yesterday, and you commented on it. What are your thoughts on what went down?
Well, I mean, that's just, we talk about the code, we talk about hockey culture. That's the epitome of hockey culture right there. Whether Mackenzie wants to do it or not, I kind of explained this in detail yesterday, that Byron has to either fight in that situation or he has to turtle. Like in some of those situations, there was, I've had some of those situations in my career. For example, when I cross-checked Matthew Perreault, I think it was in my last season, I knew that I would have to answer to somebody in Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. And that ended up happening. But that's something that's pretty standard. Even though Byron, I know, got suspended, he was already reprimanded. I just ended up watching the clip before I got on the call, and somebody actually dropped his gloves with him, but he didn't fight immediately after the hit. I know a little bit about him. He's not a malicious player. We actually had a really good exchange. I remember when he did get suspended on Twitter, and we were actually DMing each other, and he doesn't believe that every hit to the head needs to be looked at as intent or malicious, and I don't believe that either. Sometimes there's, I see more accidental hits rather than intent or malice on somebody to try and really hurt someone. That's just not the way the game is taught. The game is taught now, it's a skill game, score more goals, rather than when I played, we were hitting at 4 years old. I'm a 1985 birthday. I'm 34 years old. Mm-hmm. And we were taught to take your opponent's will to play away. That's how we were taught the game. You lean on your opponent for 60 minutes. As soon as he hesitates, you have them. Now, you hear a lot about like the little details, and as soon as somebody hesitates, whether it's a defenseman to go back to the puck or whether it's, somebody on the face-off who just doesn't want to get slashed on the top of the foot again and get in there first, get their nose dirty to win that face-off back, that's how you win. And in my opinion, obviously there's no such thing as an enforcer role now. In my opinion, the coach should have probably said something to Paul, just laid something out, some coach, a head coach, an assistant coach, and just said, listen, he's going to come after you. I don't think you need to, I don't know if it's a must-win game for Montreal. It was in Montreal, correct?
Yes, and it was any game right at this point is a must-win for them.
I'm pretty sure
so they still need to win games to get in.
Yes, they do.
It was out of hand, though. Like, the Habs were killing the Panthers.
Okay, so the game was already over. So, yeah, there's absolutely no reason for him to fight in that situation. Now, like, let me just – I'll explain this to you the way I explained it to Rand yesterday. When you have a guy, Mackenzie, who's openly challenging you to a fight, regardless if you got suspended, regardless if Paul fought last game because of the hit, you're being challenged by the man that you gave a concussion to. And if you don't stand up for yourself in front of a home crowd and in front of your team, what does the team see? What do both benches see? They see Byron backing down from Mackenzie. So what do both benches think? Well, Florida definitely thinks, okay, so if we lean on these guys, they're going to just back down and they're going to fold, right? So let's keep going. So a lot of it goes into not necessarily like the personal aspect of Mackenzie wanting to kill Byron because of a concussion that he gave him from a hit. A lot of the mentality you're thinking of is what is my team going to think? Is this going to affect the energy or outcome or the momentum of the game? Is it going to affect our race? But you also have to be thinking on the flip side. Wait a minute, we're already killing them. I need to focus now. Your mind shifts, changes to the playoff run and to the next game if that game's already out of hand. There's no reason for me to do this. I didn't have to do it after I immediately hit McKenzie after when the original hit happened. So, an assistant coach should have sat down with him before the game, I believe, and he said that no coach talked to him and just talked those options through with him. In different situations and in different times of the game. Now, if it's early in the first period and it's still 0-0 and it's a must-win game, well, that makes sense to me to be forced to fight. And it goes back to this code that if somebody challenges you as a man, you have to stand up because we're hockey players and we sacrifice for the team. And, I'll dive face first in front of a puck for you. And, it's that whole mentality. When you're in that team aspect, you are not thinking about your own livelihood. You are just thinking about how you can contribute to a win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we were conditioned since we were 4 years old, and that's why you see what you see out there. Because in all reality, the old boys club is still running this thing,
right?
And it's going to take a really long time, a couple decades, I think, to change it. Even with all the brain injury awareness, I don't see the game of hockey without hitting or fighting. That's just the reality. Now, that being said, you don't have to do it.
Right.
You just don't. You don't have to do it.
Well, and that was that's where I want to ask you, because I think there's a couple things. I got a twofold question for you. So the first question I have is based off one that Tim McAuliffe on Tim and Sid said yesterday. He said he talked to a former player who said that if Paul Byron doesn't fight in that situation, Paul Byron loses respect in his own dressing room. And he talks about it. He meant that in the sense that it was, his own buddies would think he's a coward. And the second thought is, when it comes to the code, I thought the code was to defend the star players, the Lemieux, the Gretzkys, Gordie Howe could defend himself, Marcel Dion, not third liner Mackenzie Weegar.
It's to defend any injustice that you see.
Okay.
So if you're a fighter, if I'm an enforcer, I'm going to defend Patrick Kane the same way I'm going to defend Marcus Kruger.
Okay.
That's just the way it is. You're not thinking about, oh, it's Kruger, and I don't really like that guy because, he didn't invite me to the Swedish dinner last week. You're not thinking about that, right? You're just, when you see injustice, if you're like me, you act. And you're not going to let anybody make these star guys feel uncomfortable, but anybody, for that matter, feel uncomfortable, right? That was the job of the enforcer. The job of the enforcer, which doesn't exist anymore, is to go out there and be skilled enough to play with skilled players so that nobody gets taken advantage of and they feel comfortable enough to be able to put the puck in the net and do their job, because everybody has a different role to play in a team.
Right. Would you have lost respect? Would you have lost respect for Paul Byron if he was on your team and he hadn't fought in that situation?
No.
Okay.
He's giving away 40 pounds. He doesn't fight. No. The game's out of hand. Absolutely not, but, we talk a lot about, there's no repercussions for any actions in the NHL, right? And we talk a lot about the NHL's effectively taken that away from the players to be able to police themselves, right? So then who's policing the game? Is it the refs? Absolutely not. The Zebras are worse than ever this year, And so, okay, is it the NHLPA? Is it the NHL? No. Is it the NHL player safety? Are they handing out stiff fines and really making these guys think and taking money away from them in the regular season? Because that's what most guys care about because of the 13% escrow. No, that's not happening either. So where is it happening?
Right.
So that's the question, right? They take away this role without thinking about, well, then who's going to enforce that? Who's going to tell these kids who are just so fast and the rinks are all the same size, and nutrition's better, data tracking is better, training is better. So who's going to tell these kids, number one, either slow down, or number two, implement some vision training so that these guys can see where they're going, because they're going really fast, and there's a lot of accidental hits happening. These. I really don't believe Byron, even though that was a forceful hit. I don't think that he's okay, I'm going to go try and knock this guy in the head,
right?
And knock him out of the game. That's not what these kids are thinking. I'm telling you that right now. And back in my day, we were thinking that. Not necessarily go after his head, but you need to finish every single body check. You need to finish every single slash on the toe cap. You need to stare guys down in warm-up, because you need to let them know that they are in for a battle for 60 minutes.
So,
right? And then at the 58-minute mark, they might hesitate.
So
and you win.
Yeah. So I feel like so much of the conversation revolves around Paul Byron and his need to stick up for himself and his role in all this, and his role accepting the fight. I look at the Mackenzie Weegar thing, and I mean, he initiated the fight. He was the one getting revenge for the hit. Everyone seems to forget, and I want to know what you think about this. Do you think this fight even happens if Weegar didn't get his ass kicked by Noel Achari less than a week beforehand?
I'm not sure, but I put it into these terms, okay? You're on the playground when you're a teenager, even a kid. A guy comes and he catches you the wrong way, and in a sporting event, you get mad and he gets mad, and you guys have a little tussle, and only one of you gets suspended. And the guy that got hurt doesn't get suspended. He stays at school. After you come back from your school suspension, what happens?
Yeah.
You're going to have to do something. You're either going to have to talk to him, or, usually what happens back in my day is everybody crowds around at the buses and you both fight.
Yeah.
That's pretty standard with men. It really is.
Mm-hmm. I saw it. Was a part of it.
Now, you're saying a lot of things that are the way they are, and I know that.
Yeah.
I grew up a dude too. What's the way it should be?
That's a really good question, man. I honestly, at this point, the way it should be, the way things are going to change is proper education about repetitive head trauma and the risks that these guys are under. Until they totally understand the risk of what they're doing to themselves, not only themselves, but the guys that they're playing against, until they truly understand those risks, I don't see anything changing. I really don't see a respect level changing. I don't see. They need to understand, 3 or more traumatic brain injuries, and you are 80% more susceptible to early onset dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinsonism. You need to understand that, because the NHL and the NHLPA are not telling these guys that. So until they understand, how could they gear down or be worried about risks that they don't know, that have been withheld from them? How can they, look at Tom Wilson. Just look at Tom Wilson's comment. And this is why I'm so hard on the NHL Department of Safety, because he's like, now I'm thinking before I make every hit, because I don't want to lose another $800,000. Perfect.
Yeah, no kidding.
Happening. That's what should be happening. You should be thinking. You should be watching, right? Everybody talks about it being a reaction or emotional game. Guys need to plant their feet, slow down, and understand that, oh man, if I hit this guy in the head, or if I hit if I hit him wrong, I might get hurt, and then I'm at risk for all of these neurodegenerative diseases. And until that happens, man, I really don't believe that anything will change. These guys need to understand.
Where's the reluctance on the NHLPA and the NHL side? I get the NHL maybe not wanting to, but where's the NHLPA? Why are they not doing this?
Because most of the players don't want to.
Oh, they don't want to hear about it.
Think about it. Well, think about it. You're a young guy. You just made the NHL. Do you really want to, do you want to put in protocols that are going to hold you out longer after an injury? You're thinking as an athlete, well, if I get hurt and I don't play for an extended period of time, what happens? I lose my job. Okay, so like it goes both ways, man. It's a really tricky issue. And as far as suspensions and fines, like we bargained for what we got in the CBA. Guys don't want to lose money. That's why you see 1-game suspensions and 2-game standard suspensions for head hits, because any more than that, and what happens? You get into a Jake Voracek situation where he's going to go and appeal it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough, man. It's really tough. But again, it goes back to proper education. Like I'm talking scare therapy. I'm talking taking a camera to a dementia clinic and talking to a dementia patient and then talking to a family member. How hard is this on you to watch the deterioration? Like I watched it in my grandmother. It's serious and it's real. Like these aren't inflated stats that I'm telling you, and I'm not talking about CTE. I'm talking about brain injury, brain damage leads to neurodegenerative diseases, okay, like dementia, like Alzheimer's, like Parkinson's, like CTE, a whole host of diseases.
So I guess there just seems to be a lot of pointlessness in the situation, because you're talking about the education, and that's extremely important, but this whole incident, start to finish, was Paul Byron laid a hit. There wasn't malicious intent. He was punished for it. He apologized for it. So, like, education, I don't think had anything to do with that. It was an accident, and he apologized for it. And then Mackenzie Weegar challenges him because of this unwritten thing that changes and bends with the wind. And he uppercut him, knocked him out, but because of education, checked on him after he knocked him unconscious and gave him a brain injury. I don't.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. But again, like ask Mackenzie if he knows what he's at risk for. Like the media, man, you guys have a really important role in this. You know, like I've talked to numerous media members because they want to start understanding and getting some education on how to ask the proper questions.
Well, okay, so I believe.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, go ahead.
I believe that back when you played, because I remember it was pretty limited. The word
we didn't know.
Concussion, I remember.
It was like, get up, walk it off.
Used it.
Yeah.
Nobody used it. Nobody even said it to us.
Right.
Literally. Even though we had one, they didn't use it. It was crazy, man. Like, and listen, man, that's 2015. That's 4 years ago. That's not that long ago.
I know it's not that long ago, but
crazy.
Is it still an excuse? Like I have a hard time believing these guys don't understand.
They don't. How could they? So you're playing for a league where you're under their care. When you sign the contract, you get to training camp. You're under their care, right? Like you can't go. You can't physically go, get up. Number one, you don't have health insurance. Okay? Like you can't go to another doctor. You don't have a family doctor. You have a team doctor.
Right.
So, like, whatever is digested is digested from the NHL. It's spoon-fed from the NHL. I had to sit through, for 15 training camps, I had to sit through a substance abuse behavioral program where they told me the effects of cocaine on my brain. They showed me, like, images of white spots on my brain. To do what? To scare me, right? To deter me from using cocaine. They showed me clips of drunk drivers rolling cars. Why didn't they tell me anything about brain injuries? You guys say we didn't know anything, buddy. Do the research, okay? 1933, the first medical person used CTE in the medical literature. It was introduced. It was known as dementia pugilistica, but it was introduced. It was known as punch-drunken boxers, but it was introduced since 1933. You get to 1989 at the height of the NHL and the NFL. And there's no more medical studies being done until 2003. Why is that? The NFL and the NHL work together to suppress information about brain injuries. Do you think they actually want a parent to understand the true risks that they're putting their son or daughter in by signing them up for hockey? Are you crazy? Absolutely not. We know a lot about brain injuries, okay? 2010, right now, next year. The University of Cincinnati and Joe Clark, they've cut their concussion rate by 80% in the NCAA football. The average is 10, they average 2. How do they do that? That's crazy. Oh my gosh. What? They've been doing it for 1 year? No, they've been doing it for 9 years now and 9 seasons. And the one year when a coach didn't believe in it, they took it out. And what do you think happened? And they do that with like functional baselines and vision training, so that you can protect yourself against the hit that you see coming. Right? You can't protect yourself against the hit that you don't see coming. Like, that's an NCAA football. So that's since 2010. I played again. I retired in 2015. Where is the NHL on all of this stuff? IndyCar series. They use accelerometers in their ears attached to a functional baseline. So if a driver gets into a car accident and experiences enough G-forces to cause a brain injury, guess what those accelerometers in his ear tell the computer? He's hurt. Get him some help. That's been over 7 years. So, like, I don't want to hear that there's nothing out there. We didn't know anything. We know a lot about brain injuries and brain damage.
But that's the problem, right?
No, I definitely agree that the powers that be knew more than they were letting on.
Sure.
For sure. What I'm saying is now that it's
right.
But
now that it's out there, surely the players know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's
Listen,
the thing. Like,
what
why?
do you know? What do you know that concussions are bad? Like, so if you're walking into a business, okay, and it's worth $4.8 billion, all right, do you think that this business has an obligation to tell its employees of the risks that they're under of doing their job? Do you think that's fair?
I mean, yeah, I think that's fair. It's
Okay,
the way it
so
should
why
be.
don't they do it? Well, why don't they do it? They still don't do it. You guys think that they do it now. Like, I have friends in the league, man. I know exactly what video they're showing them. The same as a high school video.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, if you're feeling woozy, if you're feeling this. They don't use the words dementia, Alzheimer's. They don't say that.
Wow.
Yes, it is wow. It is a very big wow. And they don't do that. You know why they don't do that? Because the NHL is in litigation, all right? Like, if they concede, if they give up any ground before all these litigation cases are over, then they're conceding that they were wrong. So they won't do it. You know, like 2020 is going to be really interesting when the CBA comes, because the players have an opportunity to grab their you-know-what and stand up for themselves if they truly want to look at this. Like, if they truly want to look at the risks that they're under doing their job. And I'll tell you, man, it took me 7 months after retirement after numbing out all those symptoms and stuff, to actually, like, stand in the mirror and assess the state of my brain. And it's not an easy thing to do.
I don't know.
A lot of guys right now just don't want to look at it. You know?
I don't
they'll
know.
just keep playing.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how it works, but when it comes to 2020, like, will you be involved in any way?
No.
I know you're retired, but
No. I mean, the way I'm involved is on Twitter. You don't think guys follow me and DM me? And I've sent over 40 guys to these clinics. I don't need to say anything about it. Right? Like, I'm not that type of guy. I don't need to gloat. I don't need to name drop. Like, I help these guys anonymously because that's how they want to be helped. Because it's such a fear-based society, hockey, that there'll be repercussions if their organization finds out, even though you're not under their care. Like, guys need to understand that. Like, Paul Byron, he should be filing. If it was in Montreal, I don't think he can. But if any guy and any player that's listening to this right now, if you've had a concussion in the United States of America, you need to look at the statute of limitation and you need to file for a workers' comp case. If you don't, you will be left with the bills. And it's hundreds of thousands of dollars that I've spent in 3 years. The NHLPA denies my insurance. They deny my claims on pre-existing conditions. So file for a workers' comp case.
Wow.
You know, so that you'll get the proper treatment. Dude, this runs so deep.
Yeah.
So deep.
Well, you could feel it. I could feel it hearing you talk about it.
Oh, buddy, I'm gonna listen. The next year of this, okay, is to help you guys and help parents understand who they're actually getting their information from and who these doctors are that work directly with these sports leagues. Okay, there's 40 doctors in the world who make our consensus statements for return to play protocol from brain injuries. Not only professional athletes, but kids. All right, and they have very strong relationships to the NFL and the NHL. All right, over half of them.
Wow.
So, like, we need to start understanding who we're getting our information from, and we need to look elsewhere. We need to look elsewhere to people that don't have a stake in the game, that aren't serving sports medicine and are serving athletes. Should be called athlete medicine, not sports medicine. You know, and I'm sorry I got off a little off topic, but it applies. It applies to this. It applies to the code, because I'm telling you, when guys truly understand the risks they are under of doing their job, just playing a hockey game, then they will. I really believe, and that's when it will start to curve. That's when you will see guys holding up. You know, that's when you'll see guys like, you know, TJ Oshie. He has a little bit of knowledge because his dad's suffering from Alzheimer's. The other day, I saw a picture of him on Instagram. He was holding guys back from a scrum because there was a guy on the ice. Like, you'll start seeing that stuff happening more and more, because the guys will start understanding, like, holy shit, man. Like, if I want to keep playing, I need this guy across from me to be healthy enough to keep playing, because without this guy, there's no league. Like, and how long do I want to play?
Yeah.
You know, and do I want to be optimized? You know, like, that's what vision training can do. That's what the University of Cincinnati is doing. Like, forget about even baselines. Let's talk about function, you know. Let's talk about performance, you know. Like, if your hand-eye coordination and processing speed is slowed down due to traumatic brain injuries, that affects the product that fans are seeing on the ice. That affects GMs and owners. Less man games lost. This works for everybody. But again, I'll keep beating this drum, because the NHL is its own worst enemy. They will keep fighting. They'd rather spend millions of dollars fighting guys like me in the Monador estate and the Bugard estate and Nick Boynton. They'd rather spend millions to fight ex-players than to just admit it, say sorry, and move on.
Mm-hmm. So,
you know, and start putting those millions into functional baselines and into proper education.
So, Dan, I guess my next question would be, and because, by the way, what I've found, what you've said has been very powerful. In the way that the league is structured. So last night, okay, I'm not sure if you caught the Leaf game. We're gigantic Leaf fans, but we were watching a game, and in the first period, Mitch Marner gets leveled by Radko Gudas. It's a clean hit, but Mitch Marner wasn't looking. Now, thankfully, Mitch Marner's pretty slippery, takes the hit well, bounces back up, and he's fine. And you have someone like Brian Burke who goes on television right after that, 5 minutes later, and says, I can't believe there wasn't a response from the Leafs by this. How can they allow this to happen? When you see a situation like this, where it's a clean hit and that's part of the game, A, does it deserve a response? B, are we creating this issue in the media by perpetuating that stereotype?
Some people are, most definitely. And no, it doesn't need a response. Like, even in my day, we didn't respond to guys who made a clean hit. Like, that's not injustice. It's part of the game.
Right. It seems like clean hits now, big hits anyway, are so rare that when they do happen, people are like, oh, we better fight about this. You know? Yeah,
well, it's an opportunity, right, to give fans and to give the fan base that the NHL is so fearful of losing what they want, which is blood. You know, like, literally, man. They sold the game on violence, hate, and rivalries. Like, they sold me the game as a kid through Rock'em Sock'em. I used to line those things up. You know, and to Brian Burke's point, he's a dinosaur. You will not see him in 10 years unless he changes his narrative. People aren't going to put up with this. This is only year one, and people are already starting to get agitated. You know, like, there was never a pushback like this before when a guy would get knocked out in a fight. That was just normal. Now people are like, ooh. Why are they saying ooh? And why does it make them uncomfortable? Because they know the risks that this guy is under. That's why I always say it always goes back to education. Like, they truly understand. My followers understand the risks because I talk about it every day.
Who do you want to hear from? Like, whose opinion do you value?
Young guys. Guys that just got out of the league. Guys that don't have that mindset. You know, I understand. Like, that's what the game was built on. I get it. I get it that people think I'm a hypocrite, but I don't agree. You know, I don't agree because of what I have learned. So again, everybody's like, well, you're a hypocrite because of the way you played. Well, listen, how could I change the way I played if all of this information was withheld from me? Now I retired. I'm reading all of the medical papers. I'm reading the 297 emails. I'm getting stuff leaked to me. Now I know what they did. And they lied to me. And they lied to hundreds and thousands of other men, but these men are at home suffering in silence instead of, talking about it and telling their story. But there's more and more men and hockey players coming out, telling their story, telling about candid stories about the struggles that they've had. And, the more guys that do that, I think the more current players will listen. And a lot of people may assume that I hate hockey or that I want collision sports like football and hockey to no longer exist. That couldn't be further from the truth. But I'll put it in this context. Like, if hockey and football didn't exist today and we made up a game today, would there be bare knuckle fighting and full body contact in hockey?
Excuse me, probably not.
I doubt it. I doubt it very highly. So if that's the temperature of the climate today of society, why aren't we adhering to that?
Right. And that brings me to my next question for you. And you've been so great with your time, and we so appreciate having you on, man, because this has been
good, man.
Amazing to hear. I guess my final question for you would be, how do you think we will look back on this era in 20 years? And I'm talking about not just the last 5 years. I'm talking about the last 20 years of we knew, everybody kind of knew, we went from concussions are bad to more specifically concussions do this and this and this and this. How do you think we're going to look back on this time? And quite frankly, on the commissioner and the people that work under him?
I think we're going to thank them. I'm going to personally thank him. I feel like thanking them already.
Really?
The NHL is their own worst enemy. Yeah, they are their own worst enemy. And people think that I want to do this to change hockey. Like, that could not be further from the truth. I do it to protect my friends who are still in the league so that they have the information. Concussion is a human issue, all right? It affects a lot more people than just the 7 million NHL fans and their players. It affects the veteran community. It affects firefighters, police officers, women of domestic violence, soccer players, rugby players. I mean, all types of athletes, child abuse victims. That's who I want to get to. I'm just I've said this a million times, my platform and my background's in hockey. I have a unique insight into, what happens on the ice. And so I use the platform the same way the NHL used me and lied to me. And I'm using them to get to millions of other people and communities, And so right now I could say thank you to Gary and the NHL. As for however long they choose to fight this, I will choose to educate. And so again, thank you.
Okay.
You guys are helping me.
Well, hey, we appreciate your time. I literally woke up and messaged Dan this morning. I was thinking about it in the shower at 4 a.m. before I got up for the morning show. So
I was going to say, you wake up at 4 a.m.?
I do, yeah, unfortunately. It's not the best time to be awake, but it's a fun time to do a radio show. So anyway, Dan, we really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. If you want to follow Dan, it's Carbomb1313. I got that right? And we follow each other.
Yeah, Carbomb Boom 13.
Yeah,
you got it.
That's it. Carbon Boom 13. Thank you so much, Dan. This is not going to be the last time, okay?
Yeah, hopefully not. And sorry for talking so much, boys, but there's there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot to know, and that's really not even the half of it.
Well, I think we'd like to cover more ground the next time, and and the whole. We're glad you talked because there's nothing worse than having a guest that doesn't talk, man.
Oh, I hear that.
Hey, brother.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate the combo. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Wow.
That's a passionate dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's interesting, Steve. Your question I thought was the most interesting part of that. And what was we won't, because we spent a lot of time on this. We'll move off it in just a second. But what I really want to say is that I found it interesting when you sort of alluded to the fact that, okay, now we know, right?
Yeah.
Now we know. And it's funny that you think you know, because you think, well, concussions are bad. But what do you know? What specifics do you know? And some of the specifics he was talking about, dude, I'd heard some of that. I knew maybe a little bit, but if you'd put a quiz in front of me and said, what does this lead to? I wouldn't have said some of that stuff. Because I just, this is Dan obviously lives it and breathes it. And if you're a professional athlete in this day and age, you should live and breathe your health.
Yes, absolutely. There's a boxing documentary, I can't remember what it is, but they basically tell you if you ever want to become a boxer, do not watch this
Wow, really?
because you'll just never do it.
Right.
You'll
Right.
never
Fight
do it.
Club. Yeah,
Yes.
that's the name of the movie.
Brad Pitt.
The boxing documentary.
It's my favorite.
It was a good one.
Non-fiction documentary.
Yeah.
Tyler
It
Durden.
was based on life with Tyler Durden.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
Great boxing documentary. Anyway, moving on.
So he's saying that I guess the NHL needs to be more proactive. And I don't know, maybe I'm in a bubble because I'm like, yeah, multiple blows to the head are bad. Like I don't know. I guess what he's saying is like cuz
It's like we know it's bad, but do you know how bad?
yeah, I was confused by a few things in the conversation, but yes. So I suppose it's everyone knows they're bad. They didn't know exactly how bad, and his allegation is that the NHL is withholding exactly how bad. What I was befuddled by, I think visually, if we were to watch back, is how this applies to the Paul Byron, Mackenzie Weegar.
I think it became a bigger
Situation.
conversation.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was just another duo of concussions that were utterly pointless.
Yeah.
Pointless.
Like if you go back and you watch the Paul Byron hit on Mackenzie Weegar, deserved to be suspended.
Yes.
But as Dan said, that hit in itself, Paul Byron's not a headhunter, right? He's like
Byron
5'9".
wasn't answering for that hit.
No, and so
Mackenzie Weegar he wanted to prove himself.
is that what you think?
100%. He got his ass kicked. It was the number one highlight of the night that night. He got fed friggin' lawnmower style by Noel Achari, and he looks at the schedule and he goes, well, there's Paul Byron. And, like, dude, he's given up, like, what, half a foot and 50 pounds? What part of the code is that?
But
It's self-preservation. It's not... People talk about the code like it's just perception. It's self-preservation. And he needed to remind everyone he's a big, tough man by fighting Paul Byron. And then checking on him? I hate that shit. Don't be phonies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I would say. I hate that shit. I
wanted to fight you, but I didn't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
I wanted to
we're all
punch you.
friends now that I beat you up.
Like, all those segments
What is
talking
that?
about at least Mackenzie Weegar checked on him afterwards should be sponsored by Jergens. Friggin' get out of here with that jack-off bullshit.
Did you just make a masturbation joke?
Yes, I sure did. He checked on him after he gave him a concussion. Let me do that to anyone on the sidewalk. Bumped into
Do
me.
you want to punch me out and then check on me after?
Yeah, because I'm a good guy. You know, when I saw Paul Byron on the ice, half conscious, my first thought was Mackenzie Weegar's a good guy. Like, stop.
How tall is Paul Byron?
He's 5'9". He'd be the shortest guy in this room.
Yeah.
That's literally factually
Yes,
true.
by like significantly.
Wow.
He'd be the shortest guy in this room by almost 2 inches.
Oh God.
Yeah.
You know, it was it's a very, very interesting situation, and can see why it evolved and then devolved on Twitter yesterday within the community. And you know what? I had a look at TSN and Sportsnet's posts about the situation. And TSN actually had, and I don't know if Sportsnet specifically did either, but TSN had a JP Barry, who is Paul Byron's agent, talking about it. And he's like, you could almost tell he was pissed with Paul. Like, why did you accept this fight? And the comments underneath are the most interesting part, because I don't think that we're the average fan. And I don't think we're the type of fans that is the average person that watches this sport. And I'm okay with that. But the majority of the comments underneath were, well, it's not Mackenzie Weegar's fault that Paul Byron has a glass chin. Oh, this is the code and you got to live by it, bud. Maybe you shouldn't throw dirty hits there, bud. It's not.
Yeah.
But that's how a lot of people think, and you got to remember that that's what the NHL's catering to.
Guys
One of
fucking
the
suck.
most fascinating things I learned running the Tim and Sid account for a year
this will be fun.
was looking at the hockey fans and seeing how split down the middle they were on issues like this. Now, half of the people would be like, hey, you can't take toughness out of the game. What happened here is exactly correct. And the other half is kind of on our side about how
you
this
can
is
be
ridiculous.
tough without this, though.
Yeah, but it's not. It's like the audience isn't as clear defined as you see on like whatever Twitter bubble you're in on either side. There's a huge group of people who think that this is what hockey should be.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, Ken Reed came on.
lot of
Ken
those
Reed would
people
be
are fans.
Ken Reed would be squarely against when we had him on, and I love Ken. But Ken was a guy who liked people. Ken is a guy who liked it when people police themselves.
Well,
this is the result, though.
You know what's funny? You can use...
And I'm simplifying it. I would encourage you to go back and listen to Ken because he's got a very nuanced take. Let me say that.
Dude, I like...
Ken's the best.
Dude, when there's a fight, I watch.
Yes!
And I enjoy watching
You like UFC, Steve.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a little different.
Well, yeah, because that one, it's like, well, we're supposed to fight.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I assume you know all the risks going into that.
Well, are you?
But even that, I mean, I'm sure Dan would have something to say about that. But Aaron Ekblad was wronged by Max Domi during the preseason. Those guys have a hateful rivalry going. They hate each other. They don't like each other. Every Habs-Panthers game has low-key been this way all season long.
Right.
That wasn't this. That wasn't this incident. There was no hate.
No.
You don't check on someone that you hate.
I don't even think it did. It not seem to you like the most dispassionate fight ever?
You hit me back in January. I'm gonna fight you now.
Do you remember the staged fights that we used to watch? Like we grew up watching staged fights. Like, well, you know they're gonna fight before the game.
All right. We're at the center ice.
We're gonna
tap
throw
your stick. All right, you want to go?
Let's throw Domi and Probert out there to start the game and get this over with. And those stage fights and how bad they were because the guys didn't even want to do it.
Well, Domi Probert's a bad example.
Okay,
those were awesome.
Okay, but you know what I mean? Like
Chris,
those are the two fighters that I could think of. But here's two nondescript fighters who don't even have a reputation in the NHL. But we're gonna throw them out there, get that over with. Okay, let's get to the hockey now, eh?
I think it's improving because there was a clip that was going around this morning. Must have been from the late '90s. Leafs Flyers. It was. Do you remember the clip where two Flyers, one of them being Sandy McCarthy, were going after Ty Domi at the same time?
That was like 15 years ago or 16 years ago today.
Yeah, and then at some point in the scrum, somehow McCarthy does find a dance partner because remember Domi didn't respect him and he would never fight him, and he's fighting Dmitry Kristich.
Yes,
and I'm looking at it like, what part of the code is this? I'm looking at the 2-on-1 going, I'm sorry, what part of the code is this? And then I'm looking at McCarthy fighting Dmitry Kristich going, I'm sorry, what part of the code is this? And then I'm watching Thomas Caberlet, he's holding someone, and Domi's filling him in, so that's a 2-on-1. And I'm like, what part of the code is this?
And Sandy McCarthy...
Hockey used to just literally be assault.
Yes. Well, Ty Domi was a guy that could score 10, 15 goals a year, and he could play.
Yeah.
And so what Dan alludes to in that is you want guys who can play and who are tough, right?
Yeah.
Domi could play and was tough. Sandy McCarthy never dressed an NHL game for his skill.
No.
Like, he wouldn't have come close to the ECHL league. But he was big and scary, and that's what they did back then.
Yeah, but you can't let Domi off the hook.
Oh, no, dude, I'm not. I'm
okay.
not. But I'm saying that Domi could have made an NHL lineup.
Right. Yeah.
Sandy McCarthy would have never... Patrick Coletta would have never made an NHL lineup.
No, he was pretty bad.
Like, that's my point. There have been players on the Leafs, man, recently. Anyway, very interesting conversation. Interested to read your comments. Try to keep them somewhat rational if we can. I don't know if we can be that way if that's too much asking on YouTube.
Have fun.
But yeah, basically, I'm curious to hear the actual real opinions. The Islanders bots who are still there, shout out to you. I'm excited to see what you have to say about it. I'm sure you'll make it about Trump in some way. And let's move on to the Edmonton Oilers, who continue to be the Edmonton Oilers.
Are they? Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
So Mike Gillis, a guy that we used to torch on this show regularly for the end of the Canucks era.
Right.
Because really, there were a lot of things the Canucks could have done properly to stave off what inevitably happened. They could have either accelerated the rebuild, signed the right guys. There was a bunch of things that they could have done properly and not fuck up the Schneider-Luongo situation the way they did too.
It was a perfect storm.
Somehow they ended up with not having both. How did that happen? How did that happen?
It was unbelievable. And not enough assets to justify not having two starting goalies.
Bo Horvat, great player. The only person they got of note out of that.
Did the Canucks win the Schneider trade?
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably could make the argument that they did.
Kind of. But
Dude, you have
they're winning
Horvat
it
forever.
They're winning it
Schneider
now.
had one? Two?
Yeah, but he got injured. But yeah,
Good year. So?
at the time in that vacuum, it sure didn't look that way.
No.
Corey Schneider was a legitimate starter who could win you 30-something games.
it's difficult to say you win something when at the time you made the bad decision. You lucked out in your win, but you're still dumb.
That's what I say to Blackhawks fans who tell me that don't worry, once we sign Panarin this summer, then we'll have won the Panarin Saad trade.
That's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
You still
Thanks,
made
though.
the wrong decision.
Correct. But, okay.
No.
Here's the best of both worlds. Here's the best of both worlds. No, that will not alter the fact that the Blackhawks lost the Panarin trade. It will only make it really funny.
Yes.
It'll make it funny.
I agree. I agree.
How do you win a trade that you lost?
Yeah.
Well, they found a way.
You buy
Blackhawks.
them back.
lost, so they
The
won.
Blackhawks can do it.
You just buy them back.
Adam, you think you're right, and so do they. And I'm happy to tell you both are right.
Well, you've missed out on 160 of Panarin's points, so I'm sorry to say that you didn't win.
Yes, Adam, but what of the yucks?
Let's move on, but let's get to the
two wrongs
Oilers.
don't make a right, what do two rights make?
Difference of
An
opinion?
internet argument.
Yeah. Twitter.
Wait, no.
Twitter.
No, that's two wrongs.
Yeah.
Shoot.
So let's talk about
Two
this.
wrongs make an internet argument.
I'm paraphrasing here,
Two
but
rights
Elliot
make
Friedman
nothing.
said he believes that Bob Nicholson would like to bring Mike Gillis in for an interview.
Interesting.
Just an interview. Now, Bob
He's good at
Nicholson.
the building part.
What do you mean?
Gillis.
Oh,
He was
great.
bad. Yeah, he was bad with the acknowledging when the team was done.
right.
The Oilers have not yet begun.
And if you really read some of the stories that occurred during the Canucks playoff run, where apparently they were cheersing their Stanley Cup win before it even happened.
After game 2.
That'd be Mike Gillis doing that, with champagne and everything. Then I mean, I can understand why some Canucks fans are a little upset with the guy. Now, Mike Gillis did a great job at that time. You know who else did a great job at that time is Peter Chiarelli. But let me throw this at you. Bob Nicholson, president of the Edmonton Oilers, is getting severe pushback for even considering bringing Mike Gillis in for an interview.
Why?
For an interview.
Why?
Now, and we said this, Bob Nicholson said he had 30 names on his list that he's pared down to 10, that he wants to be the next GM of the Edmonton Oilers. He can't even get this guy in for an interview without people in the Oilers organization being upset.
It's done.
Well,
like it's not happening.
Steve, why do you think Mike Gillis would be a problem for the Oilers to bring in? Do you know the answer to this question?
I do know the answer, and it's wonderful. Oh, how about this? You don't want a guy from an ex-divisional rival because it's bad.
No. Name another potential plausible reason.
Because he did not play for the Oilers.
That's plausible in the context of the Oilers, yes.
Yes.
How about this?
That was really good. I like that.
Elliot Friedman pointed out that some people in the organization are still upset about the Michael Nylander situation where Gillis was the agent. Now let me read this.
Years ago!
It was, and I've got the CBC Sports article from July the 3rd, 2007.
Oh.
Do you realize...
I'll read this to you.
Read it and... Okay.
12 years ago?
Read it.
Almost 12, 11
The
and a half.
Edmonton Oilers issued a statement on Tuesday. Steve, you really got to be on this.
Oh, no, I am.
What are you doing?
Don't worry.
Okay. The Edmonton Oilers issued a statement on Tuesday claiming they had a contract agreement with free agent Michael Nylander, who subsequently signed with Washington, calling the situation, quote, unfortunate and unprecedented, close quote. Oilers general manager Kevin Lowe agreed on Sunday to a multi-year deal with Mike Gillis, Nylander's agent, who in turn who confirmed in writing that an agreement had been reached. Edmonton never signed the contracts, never received signed contracts from Nylander and Gillis, and on Monday, Washington General Manager George McPhee announced that Nylander, who had agreed to a 4-year deal with the Caps, believed to be about $19.5 million. And when they tell you Kevin Lowe is not involved with what is happening in Edmonton, former, how many times was he the Oilers GM?
Only twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. He's still there.
He's
Kevin
still there.
Lowe
Yeah.
is pushing back against the Oilers, bringing in new blood over a spat that happened 12 years ago, over a free agent who was out of the league in the next 120 games.
No.
Are you kidding
We don't
me?
know that it's Kevin Lowe, but
Could
we
be
can
Daryl Cates.
assume that it's Kevin Lowe.
Could be Daryl Cates.
Could be Daryl Cates.
Because remember, free agency, there's something with free agents that links the owner a little bit more than anything else.
Because it's their money.
It's their money.
Cates
And
owned the
his
team.
money was not good enough.
Did Cates own the team back then? He's owned
Ooh,
it for a while.
Good question. He owned the team in 2009. We know that because of that horrendous oil change documentary.
Oh, yeah. What? I don't know when he took over. I don't know.
I'll tell you in.
Now, I don't know that it was Kevin Lowe, but sure seems like it.
So,
He purchased them in 2008.
So, no, he was not.
just
Well, this happened in July 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I just want to go back.
He would have been buying at that time in talks.
Who wants to go back to 2007?
Yeah.
Just so we have an idea of how far back this grudge goes. I looked up 2007 Oscars.
Oh, good. I like this. I like that you did this.
Best Picture, The Departed.
Whoa.
Best Actor, Forrest Whitaker for The Last King of Scotland.
Can I just put a small note on that Daryl Cates thing?
Do it.
So when Daryl Cates bought the Oilers in July of 2008, he then promoted Kevin Lowe to the president of hockey operations.
Sorry, what? Say that one more time.
When Daryl Cates bought the Oilers in 2008,
Okay.
shortly after, the Oilers announced a restructuring. Kevin Lowe was promoted to the role of president of hockey operations
11 years ago.
when Daryl Cates bought the team.
11 years ago, they've
11
won
years ago.
one playoff series. Been to the playoffs.
Now he has been demoted apparently to he's now vice president of hockey operations.
Songs.
Well, vice chairman at Oilers Entertainment Group to be specific.
Songs from 2007.
Which I guess is bigger.
Umbrella by Rihanna. The Sweet Escape, Gwen Stefani. This Is Why I'm Hot by Mims. And don't forget, Things for the Mims by Fall Out Boy.
Great song.
Great song, Things
Great
for
song.
the Mims. Also,
Great album.
Also, Throw Some D's by
Sugar,
Rich
We're
Boy.
Going Down?
And Crank That
That
by
was the
Soulja
one
Boy.
before that.
Yeah, but I'm just naming awesome Fall Out Boy
You like
songs.
Fall Out Boy?
Fall Out Boy's the shit!
Dude, From Under the Cork Tree, or whatever the exact words are, it's a very old album. It's very good.
The Beatles, John Lennon on his own, Fall Out Boy.
Wow.
Official
In
ranking.
reverse order.
Official ranking of the top 3 songs, musicians,
people.
You
on
started
Earth.
with third, right?
Yeah,
Songstresses.
3 is actually
Songsman.
1. But yes.
Who wants to know the top 10 of the 2007 draft?
I would love to know this. How many of them are still playing?
Well, number 1 is Patrick Kane. He's still playing. Number 2, James Van Riemsdyk. Number 3, Kyle Turris. Number 4, you might remember this one, Thomas Hickey. No? Okay. Number 5,
I remember him.
Carl Alsner.
No.
What?
Number 6, the Edmonton Oilers select Sam Gagner.
Still playing for the Oilers.
Number 7, Jakub Voracek. Boston selects Zach Hamill. San Jose selects Logan Couture. And the Florida Panthers select Keaton Ellerby. You think they regret that pick? He was a defenseman. The next defenseman selected, Ryan McDonough.
So what's our conclusion here?
Oilers are
That-
stupid.
Oh, no
They're
way.
a dumb hockey team
No
run by
way.
dumb hockey people.
Ah.
And that's it. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I think that's accurate.
I There's no team I have less faith in than the Edmonton Oilers, man.
And it's a shame because it's from the top down.
Oh,
It's not
very
like
clear.
That's
it's not
the
like you
problem.
get rid of the head coach and it's fine. It's not like you get rid of the general manager and it's fine.
You
It's-
need to buy the team and
Yeah.
literally fire everyone.
yeah. It's the president down. It's the owner down,
They're gonna
which
get
is
Jack
a
Hughes.
shame.
They're gonna get Jack Hughes.
And, at the bottom of
they'll
that-
fuck it up too.
Bet the farm. They'll get Jack Hughes.
So McDavid leaving town anytime soon.
I honestly,
No.
I hope it's the Avalanche to get Jack Hughes.
Oh, me too.
I'd hate to see that happen to Ottawa. They've been through so
I want
much.
them to sit in their own shit. I want Eugene and Pierre and all those guys.
It's such a hard one because
No.
you're going from the Sens fans who don't deserve this.
No, but I
and
want the-
Eugene
Yeah.
who
Let
deserves
them
it
have their
twice.
medicine.
The
If they
fans
don't,
don't
learn.
deserve that, though.
The fans don't. But the
No.
fans don't
think
deserve.
Eugene Melnick is going to retrieve a lesson from all
Yes.
this.
Yes. I think
Wild.
this could be bad enough that it would actually get through his skull. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. No Senators fans, you do not deserve this. I 1000% agree. But Senators fans, let me level with you here. Sometimes even idiots learn. And I think in this situation,
no.
when they see the Colorado
No.
Avalanche walking up on stage and selecting the guy that would have changed their franchise, I think Pierre and Eugene and the three other people that work there, the janitor who's there at the draft table, because they got to fill up the table, the chairs with somebody.
Hey, Spartacat.
Sorry, and Spartacat.
Respect Spartacat. He's an employee.
That's true.
That's
That's
fair.
true.
That's
Spartacat's
very
been an
fair.
employee a long time, too. I think that they'll go, wow. Like, you want to talk about what the Senator fans didn't deserve? Losing Erik Karlsson, losing Kyle Turris, losing
So you want them to suffer through
Ryan
more.
Zingle, losing Matt Duchene.
You want them to suffer through more.
Yes.
That's no.
The ownership has not learned yet.
They won't.
This will continue if they
No.
don't learn.
What have we learned from Edmonton? Hockey people never learn.
They will learn.
They never learn.
They will learn if they lose this. No. They will learn
No.
if the Avalanche select first overall. I guarantee it.
1000% no.
Do you want this to keep
No.
happening? Because if this doesn't happen, if the Avalanche do not get the first overall pick, then Ottawa has not learned. They skated on it, and they're going to think that they walk
No.
on water. It's bullshit. No.
They
No.
don't learn. They're stubborn and they're 100% emotion driven. Watch Pierre Dorian get fired if the Avalanche get the first overall pick for a decision he made a year and a half ago. Watch.
He'll
They're
get fired?
Yes, they're emotion driven, and by they, I mean literally one guy. One guy.
Well, that's like 20% of their workforce. So
The worst thing ever, trading away the first overall pick for nothing. Well, yeah, for an asset you traded away eventually, is going to happen to them. It's the worst thing that could happen, and they're not going to learn from it. Because history shows that they never learn from it.
What? Okay, what is worse for that team? They lose the first overall pick, and Eugene goes on a rampage of rage, a rage rampage, or they luck out. It's only the fourth overall pick. That pick turns out to be a bust, and you know what? We made the right decision getting Brady Tkachuk anyway. What's worse? What's worse? The rubbing your nose in it situation or the see we're fine situation?
see, we're fine.
Ooh,
That's way worse.
dark. It's all dark. It's all very dark. Sorry, I played footsies with you.
That's okay.
It's very dark. I don't know, man. How did we make this about the Sens?
Hey, the Sens and Oilers, forever linked.
So
At least in this era.
God, I feel so much better than when we started the show.
Well,
I was just thinking about the Leafs.
listen, David Pasternak just racked up 5 points against the Rangers. Don't feel that good. I know it's against the
Oh,
Rangers,
thanks.
but the Leafs did lose to the Rangers, and Boston will be the team the Leafs play.
Cool, man. Wonderful.
Hey, let's do the press conference. Oh, wait. No, let's not. Okay, here's the deal. So we finally got the computer board fixed. So Daddy brought in some audio that I've been hanging on to for a month. And I'm so excited. Get your headphones on, boys. We're going to have some fun.
Okay, Dad.
Boys and girls. Sorry about that.
Adam, quick question before we do this.
Yes.
Does John Tavares deserve a John Tavares Day 2.0 for losing the puck on the shootout?
That's a good question.
It's a good question.
That's from our Reddit page.
Andrew Walker would
It's
love
from
that.
the Reddit page and every tweet and every Facebook comment and every Instagram comment and every creative person ever. Congratulations.
Give him a day. He lost the puck.
Remember
man.
that time fans cheered? What a bunch of losers.
This is Toronto. Aren't we better than this? Aren't we better than cheering for our own teams? Let's go back to being cynical assholes and running Larry Murphy out of town.
Oh, God.
Just so we can win a cup with the Detroit Red Wings. Losers. Anyway, there's a couple things that I want to play for you today.
All right.
One of them occurred this morning. Well, it didn't occur this morning. It occurred yesterday morning. And now it's exam season, right? We're getting into April. It is exam season for a lot of people in colleges and universities. And WTOL, Channel 11, Toledo's news leader in HD.
Holy Toledo! Sorry.
They wanted to get hip with the kids yesterday morning.
Oh, no.
And this went viral. I don't know how you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen it yet, but you must. And we played it on the morning show this morning on Virgin Radio, and of course, big smash hit.
No.
And Steve, you
Adam.
tried to watch this.
Yes, 2 seconds.
You got 2 seconds
max.
in.
You're actually going to have to strap me down like Clockwork Orange and just hold my eyes open. I'm not going to be able to do this.
I want you to know,
Hold my ears open.
and it's really important that you know this, I want you to know that I'm going to relish every moment of Steve's reaction to this. And if you are listening to this show, do yourself a favor and fast forward to 1:34:18.
No.
So you can watch Steve's reaction to this too, because it may be just as or even more horrified than yours.
Please no.
These are now you got to think. I want to put a little context around this situation. I want you to think about your local morning news television team. I was on one of those teams before. And a lot of these people they're news people who are used to hard-hitting journalism.
Can I say something
And reading
elitist?
off a teleprompter. Yes.
Can I say something elitist? You're in Toronto, not Toledo.
Well, no, that's not really what I'm going with. What I was going to say about breakfast television is they're pretty real. Like, they are what they are. The people on that show, Dina is what she is. She is that happy. She is that peppy. She is that much fun.
Yeah.
Mel is hilarious, even though she does hard-hitting news. There are very few people, though, who can do that. Like, one of the people who was the best at it, Kevin Frankish was great at it. Melanie Ng is great at it. Roger Peterson, who's now the host and one of the news guys there, is great at it. They're able to shut off the news and get into, okay, I'm a human being again. But there are certain people who do news that try to shut off the news and can't because they've only learned one way in front of the camera.
No, Adam, no.
Now, as a producer, what you should do is not put them in a position where they're going to be very uncomfortable and unable to pull it off because it requires something different that they're maybe not the best at.
No.
Which is why we bring you to WTLL, Toledo's news leader, Channel 11, now in HD. Talking you through exam season. It's an exam morning, friends.
Oh, they're talking to the kids.
Good morning, TPS students. It is testing week, and it's time to slay all day.
Stay woke, be on fleek, and get that Gucci breakfast.
Goals. Say bye, Felicia, to that testing stress. Weather's going to be turned, right, Chris?
Yes! Toledo weather gonna be lit during testing week. A hundo P chance of success.
Kill me.
You got this, kids.
Which one of you has a knife? Kill me.
How about that traffic? Are we looking? Oh,
We're talking turn. FOMO won't be an issue. No traffic problems around any TPS schools to keep you from taking those tests.
Now, we'll bring the volume up. I know it's a little low as we record it, but I want you heard everything in that.
Yeet.
There might, yeah,
Steve?
Yeet is the best. It's the best one. I think Yeet's the best one.
Traffic's gonna be occur.
All right, let's play it one more time. By the way,
I don't think I'll ever be occur again.
this video
What he's like, yes.
this video has been up for 24 hours. It has 4.63 million views on Twitter. That is viral for you. Let's play it one more time.
No.
Good morning, TPS students. It is testing week, and it's time to slay all day.
Stay woke, be on fleek, and get that Gucci breakfast.
Goals. Say bye, Felicia, to that
Wait.
testing stress. Weather's going to be turned.
Did you say Gucci breakfast?
Yes. That's the thing. You watch it and you pick up other things that you didn't catch before. Get that Gucci breakfast.
That testing stress. Weather's going to be turned, right, Chris?
Yes! Toledo weather gonna be V-lit during testing
V-lit.
week. A hundo P chance of success. You got this, kids. Steve, how about that traffic? Are we looking
Better than we're talking turn. FOMO won't be an issue. No traffic problems around any TPS schools to keep you from taking those tests.
It'll be turned.
It'll be
FOMO
turned.
won't be an issue.
You know what? I love this. I watched it the first time and I cringed. Now this is like the fourth or fifth time. Respect to all the anchors on there. I love it.
No.
Well
Adam,
done.
Adam,
Well done. Thank you for creating this gold.
I have shit to do today. Delete. Had shit to do today. I'm going to lock myself in my house and never leave it. I don't
They
think.
deserve an Emmy for this. I'm not kidding.
No.
This is so...
I'm going to go to
It's
bed
so bad it's good.
and hope I never get woke. You see.
I see what you
because
did there. I see what you
The
did there.
tables, the tables have turned.
Yeah.
Oh, that was not Gucci.
Oh, man.
I'm
So...
gonna go home and have a Gucci dinner. Yeet, you guys.
New shirt. Yeet, you guys.
All right. Now, there's another piece of audio that I've held on to for literally a month, and if you've been paying close attention, I'm not sure if the camera can actually pick this up. There's been a piece of this board that's missing, so we haven't been able to do much in the way of audio. This piece of audio I've held on to for a long time. And I'm going to play it for you. It's Clippers and Mavericks. They were playing a game, just a random game about a month ago. And they start talking about a former NBA player named Robert Tractor Trailer. They called him Tractor Trailer because he's a big boy.
Like Junkyard Dog.
Yeah, a great name. That's a great nickname, Tractor Trailer.
And there's no doubt that guy's not tiny.
No, he's a big boy.
He's a tractor trailer.
So, have a listen to the announcers talking about Robert Tractor Trailer, who has since retired.
I hope this is Gucci.
Hang on, let me start that again.
He just launched his career like nobody could guard him anymore.
I guess Milwaukee didn't see it either. They drafted him and then traded him to Dallas draft day for Robert Tractor Trailer. Who's he playing for now?
The Detroit YMCA over 40 league.
Did you catch that?
He's playing for the Detroit over 40 league.
He just launched his career like nobody could guard him anymore.
I guess Milwaukee didn't see it either. They drafted him and then traded him to Dallas draft day for Robert Tractor Trailer. Who's he playing for now?
The Detroit YMCA over 40 league.
You see? It's an old joke.
He's like, who's he playing for now?
No.
The YMCA over 40 league.
The over 40 league.
So
Sorry.
What's the fun part of
Before
that?
you're like, boom, roasted. Robert Tractor Trailer died of a heart attack in 2011. No! This is the only time you've ever found heart attacks funny. But this is funny. Jesse, did you know this?
Yeah,
you saw this?
I saw this.
I was like, Adam, how do you follow up the Yeet Woke newscast
With that
with
boom
that
roasted.
Yeah, this
Boom, roasted.
Boom roasted was not very Gucci. Sorry, I did not. Oh,
You
The
were
kicker
like,
to the boom roasted is that it's boom, you're dead.
well,
and have been dead for 8 years.
yeah, so
Oh my God, that's awful.
So here's the thing. They were then told during a commercial break that what had happened, so they have to come back on. This is only in the second quarter. They got to apologize for this. So here's the apology. All right, give me 1 second. Let me just turn up the volume. Okay, ready? Here we go.
Dirk Nowitzki playing probably his final game in Los Angeles as a member of the Dallas Mavericks and the National Basketball Association. We made light earlier that he was traded from Milwaukee to Dallas in exchange for Robert Tractor Trailer. I was wondering what Robert Tractor Trailer was doing today, totally slipping my mind, I guess Don's mind, but he passed away a couple years ago, so may he rest in peace, and our apologies.
Yeah, apologies.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize that.
The reality is, Don Nelson, the Hall of Fame coach, helped make that trade, and he was roasted in Dallas for the trade, bringing Nowitzki, this unknown 7-foot white guy from Germany, for crying out loud. And Traylor was a big hulk of a man, had a great deal of promise, and it worked out pretty darn well for Dirk Nowitzki. And
they moved on from that apology quickly, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm real sorry about that now.
I didn't realize it. I'm so sorry.
Now, the best part, the Deadspin article that this is on, because Deadspin sometimes has some bangers. If you too had forgotten that Tractor Trailer died 8 years ago, at least you didn't have to process it live on an NBA game.
Oh my God. You know what? So the yeet thing, I am already starting to laugh about it in my head, and will probably laugh about it on the car ride home.
You can't not love these news anchors.
This
It's bad.
is going to haunt me. Like, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be in the shower and just involuntarily...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No one else does that, just me?
The douche chills are heavy with this one. And here's what's interesting. Let's say Robert Tractor Trailer wasn't dead. Okay?
Let's say
he wasn't dead. That's still not a very nice thing to say.
You're also being an asshole.
Like you could have just apologized for being an asshole. That's an asshole thing to say. That
He must be at the YMCA playing the over 40 league. No, you asshole.
That man made the NBA and got traded for Dirk Nowitzki.
You know what a similar sentence could have been? I don't know, but he sucks at basketball.
Yes.
Where's he playing? I don't know, but he's not as good.
Anyway, those are my two clips. I have been saving that second one for a month. I'm sure glad it happened today because your face reaction on that was phenomenal. Let's do the press conference.
Let's go to the Jays game.
No.
I have no questions.
Actually?
Yes. I need to go to the Jays game.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, we're getting out of here. Okay. All right.
Cool.
All right. Well,
We didn't even get to talk about how I met Peter Mansbridge from the National.
Well, do you want to quickly mention a little shouty to Petey?
Have you seen the clip?
No, I haven't.
It's friggin' unbelievable.
He's a pretty cool guy, huh?
Yeah. I know you guys got to go to the game. But so this was my day, the last podcast. Matt Sundin asked me what wing I wanted to play on. Then I had ice surfing that night. Peter Mansbridge comes in to be a guest. For those of you who don't know, Peter Mansbridge, for the, I don't know, sort of like Canada's Anderson Cooper a little bit. Like, he was the chief anchor on CBC.
Does he play in a YMCA over 40 league?
He might.
He might when he has his heart attack in 2011.
He has the ability to because he's alive.
That's right. Oh, man. Wow.
I'm saying he's alive. It's not funny.
And he is over 40.
And well. So, Peter Mansbridge, he comes into the studio, and immediately, Rick James, Orange Aura, walking in the room. It's just, he's one of those people with, like, a certain majesty. Jeff Merrick walks up to him, shakes his hand, and Jason York walks up to him, shakes his hand, and my little Dangle desk is far away from the door. I'm like, I'm not going to walk over to him. I'm, an insignificant part of this thing. I'm just going to put my head down and do my work. He walks over to me and goes, Steve Dangle. It's so nice to meet you. And I discovered he follows me on Twitter. And
you didn't know that Peter Mansbridge follows you on Twitter?
No, I knew. And I knew. And then, he made a joke. He was talking about, like, he was getting nervous meeting this broadcaster when he was younger. He's like, it's kind of like when I met Steve Dangle. And,
wow.
And it's just a funny joke. But then the final question, Jeff Merrick goes, what advice would you give an aspiring broadcaster like young Dangle over there? And he just turns to me. And I go like this, put my head on my hands jokingly. And he goes, just keep doing what you're doing, buddy. You got a magic.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like,
man.
It's funny. Because my mic is not on, but you can hear me go, Jesus. And even Jason York goes, oh, wow.
Dude, that's fucking cool.
It was fucking cool.
Wow.
It was a great 8-year-old day for me.
Damn.
It was, well, when I was 8, I wasn't like Peter Mansbridge, but it was a great Ryerson Day for me, let me tell you that.
Dude.
That was friggin' disgusting.
And you know
that was
what?
Awesome.
He's only saying what we've all known for a long, long time.
Right?
We love our buddy.
You should follow me on Twitter. All right, now we're done.
All right, guys. Love you.
And we're all alive.
Unlike somebody I know. Jesus.
I am now imagining.
Why are you going to poke fun at Jesus? Why would you do that? What's wrong with you?
Oh, and Robert Tractor Trailer. Yeah, whatever.
My Nona's going to throw a shoe.
If he swings at Jesus, he's going to be able to defend himself.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Brought to you by Panago Pizza. Order at panago.com and stuff your face with deliciousness.